Anyway, we digress. We are talking Medicare this hour. And like I said, Heather from Citizens Insurance Solutions is with us. She's actually calling in today. So, Heather, are you with us on the phone?
Vince, I am. Good morning. How are you?
Awesome. I am doing well. How are you today?
Good. I have a question. I want to go to that food thing at the Pinnacle of Turkey Creek. Do I have to buy a ticket or what?
It is a $25 donation, so I'm assuming they have a gate there. Like I said, I've never been there, so I wouldn't know exactly what to tell you, but I'm assuming they have a...
Well, I'll eat my way through the conundrum. How's that?
That's a good plan. It's good food for a good cause, so I don't think you can go wrong there.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Heather Majka. It looks kind of intimidating when you see my last name. It's Majka. It looks like Majka, pronounced Majka.
Majka.
But just call me Heather.
Well, if you talk to Danny, my co-host, you can appreciate that I do stumble over those last names. Danny Sturtevant.
Stop it.
He's got a really long last name. So he's just Danny.
Heather, I feel your pain.
Well, I'm certainly missing Dawn this morning. I hope she's doing something fun, but I'm glad I get a chance to be on with a creative problem solver. I need that for Medicare. The world, the U.S. needs that for Medicare, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Glamping, love it.
Dawn's camping with the Grands this weekend. It's a family tradition. Her daughter comes up from New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
And brings the grandkids, and they head out towards the Tellico Plains area and do camping every fall.
Oh, wow. That's where I live. Well, not in Tellico Plains, but I live in Tellico Village, so somewhat close. But nice. I think that's a wonderful tradition. It's very much brings children, and families together and back to the roots. And nature actually has scientifically been proven to help our mental health.
Our designer is from Tellico Plains. Katie's from Tellico Plains.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cherahalla Skyway kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Madisonville.
I like that. Whenever we go through Tellico Plains, my wife and I will have to stop at the Trout Mountain Coffee Shop. So a little plug for a local coffee shop out there.
Yeah, and another little plug on the Cherahalla Skyway is Ironworks.
Yes.
They have great live music, and it's got food and alcohol and all that kind of fun stuff. So
they have a great patio out there on the river, too.
Is that the place on the left?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome food.
I know that you can know it because, that place on the left. Yeah.
I think they have some kind of fried pickles that my son really loves. So you
I want you guys to know that this is much more exciting than talking about Medicare. It is. And we are so blessed to live in a beautiful part of the country.
Lord, aren't we?
Have wonderful communities. So,
well, why don't we jump into Medicare real quick before our first break? We got a couple minutes to spare before we go to our first commercial break. So, if you can give us an overview of the 2023 changes coming up for Medicare, what would those be?
Well, there's several changes, some administrative in the back end as far as who gets paid what. There's all improvements, which is great news for Medicare beneficiaries or people who are going to be going on to Medicare that were born in 1958 for 2023. So that's exciting. We'll go over all of that. We'll talk about why it went down. We'll talk about how the changes in Medicare affect people with end-stage renal disease, because people of any age can get Medicare if they have kidney failure or end-stage renal disease. We'll talk about the changes in Medicare Part D and some of the Medicare Advantage plan offerings. But I think that's pretty much it. Just so you know a little bit about me and what I do and why I do it. I've been helping people with insurance for 28 years. I own Citizens Insurance Solutions, or more than Medicare. And I say that because, we sell other things besides Medicare, like health insurance and life insurance and travel insurance and dental insurance and all that fun stuff. But really the meaning behind more than Medicare is we're more than just people who are selling insurance. We care about the person we're talking to and our community, and we do everything we can to support our local communities. In fact, we help Medicare beneficiaries across the country, and we represent all plan options and over 150 insurance companies. So, we're really involved in this. I personally am AAA certified as a Medicare insurance planner, and the only person in the state of Tennessee who is a certified Social Security claiming strategist. And I started all this stuff not because I was dreaming as a little girl of being in the insurance industry,
Right.
because
Wow.
nobody dreams
Yeah.
of that, right?
No.
Yeah.
I started all of this business because, A, it was a killer internship when I was in Syracuse University in college.
Okay.
As just being in the insurance industry. And then I thought, I was just going to fall out of Syracuse University and get some highfalutin, six-figure job, but I was quite wrong. So since I had 4 years of insurance experience, one thing led to another.
Yeah.
And eventually I started helping my grandmother who raised me, and she got early onset dementia, and she was on the spectrum. It's actually a spectrum just like there is for autism.
Huh, okay.
And they've just now acknowledged that over the past 5 or 10 years. And actually Genesis Neuroscience Center and Dr. Monica Crane have been big leaders in the research industry. But anyhow, she was very intelligent and sharp and on her game, just like I am. And I noticed that she was struggling with all these things she was getting in the mail and her insurance. And
Yeah.
I started investigating and trying to help her. And I realized this is really challenging. This is a cluster.
It can be, yeah.
I had like 15 years of insurance experience before I started getting into the Medicare space. And it took me 6 months of studying after I got certified and licensed to really be able to regurgitate what certain parts of Medicare were in layman's terms.
Yes.
So 6 months, insurance professional. So go figure.
Yeah.
I had to help. So that's why I do what I do. And
It's a good journey,
as far
though.
as the changes in and as far as the changes in Medicare, one of the most important things that everybody kind of harps on is how much is Medicare Part B going to cost. So Medicare Part A is typically free if you've worked enough in your lifetime,
Okay.
10 years or 40 quarters. So you don't usually have to pay for that. And if you didn't personally work, but you're married to someone who did, then you can get credit from them working for
Okay.
10 years or 40 quarters. Because the way Medicare was designed back in the day, women supposedly weren't part of the workforce, although that's not exactly true. But
True.
anyway, that was the thought behind it. Women actually have been a killer part of the workforce since World War II, and then before that, but they weren't acknowledged. But that's okay. We're past that anyway.
Exactly.
So Medicare Part B premium, though, currently in 2022 is $170.10, and that's a base premium. And what I mean by that is not everybody pays that. Medicare premium, Part B premiums, actually changes every year based on whatever Congress agrees to, and what your income was, your adjusted gross income on your tax form 2 years ago, 2 years prior. So every year they look back 2 years. So
Okay.
for 2022, they're looking at 2020's returns, and for 2023, they're looking at 21's returns. So for 2023, just so you know, the base premium is going down. This seems almost unbelievable, but it's going down to $164.90. So that's unbelievable that the Medicare Part B premium is going down. But
Per
do you want to
month?
know why? Yes. And that anybody who's drawing Social Security, that comes right out of their check. If they're not drawing Social Security, they can they pay quarterly via writing a check, or they can sign up for Medicare Easy Pay and Medicare, and we have information about that at citizensinsurancesolutions.com.
Okay.
Or we also have morethanmedicare.org. But anyway, so the Part B premium is actually going down, and you got to wonder, well, why would that be? Because, medical expenses go up.
Everything else is
Everything
going up.
always goes up.
Yeah.
Everything goes up, right? Well, the Inflation Reduction Act was passed recently, in the past couple of months, and basically it acknowledged, anytime Medicare basically consults with a budget committee in Congress, and they have all these projections to try to determine when is the money going to go away, what are we paying for, what are our expenses, what are our reserves, what do we need. And they actually overinflated last year's premium just a little because we did see a huge increase last year. It was much bigger than the COLA increase, and it really hurt a lot of people, actually. And the COLA increase, for those of you who don't know, when you're getting Social Security, you hope every year that you'll get a cost of living adjustment because bills and expenses go up, but your money when you're on a fixed income doesn't necessarily. So that's why people are always crossing their finger. Well, last year, the COLA was only around 5%, but the Medicare premium increase was almost 20%. So the fact that it went down was all about the fact that in 2022, they had projected that Adelum, which is a drug that is being tested and researched for Alzheimer's treatment, would be much more costly and expensive than it actually was. So they were able to make a correction for that and lower the premium. So that was really helpful. A lot of people are really excited about that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep, and actually the Medicare Part B deductible went down. So people who are on original Medicare, and we'll talk about how you can get your Medicare after the break, because that's a whole nother fun subject.
For sure. We got to talk about this Syracuse thing too. Like, we're down in the South.
Oh, yeah. I know. Well, I now drink the Kool-Aid. So.
Well, that's good. You've embraced the orange Kool-Aid. So let's.
Yes,
My dad's from upstate New York, so we got it.
Really?
Yeah, he's from the Adirondacks.
Nice.
So
well, let's jump into that after the break. So we will dive into more things Medicare with how to get Medicare, all the different Part A, B, C, D, E, F, G segments that are out there.
And a different color orange.
Exactly, a different color orange. We will dive into that after the break. So stick around. More with Heather from Citizens Insurance Solutions. Solutions, and we are talking about Medicare. Yes, her name is shorter and easier to pronounce than yours. So let's just leave that alone.
I'll give you grace today.
Okay, I'll take all the grace I can get. But
the trick is just knowing how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's
Micah.
intimidating because there's a J and K together. So
well, we got it. We got it right. So we're good. We've achieved a goal for today.
I think he just messes with me on my last name on purpose.
I may or may not do that. I may or may not be messing. But
because he nails yours right away.
Like I said, her name is shorter, so it's easier to pronounce.
It doesn't matter. It's all jumbled letters.
Well, I'm not going to insult your last name.
It's like somebody took a Scrabble thing and
no, we're
up
totally playing Scrabble right now.
Yeah.
But he nailed it, so I think he's messing with me.
Well, speaking of Scrabble, I'm gonna try to connect the dots here.
Alphabet soup, yes.
Scrabble, you have letters. Medicare has letters too. Parts A, B, C, D. So dive into these Scrabble letters here, Heather, and tell us the difference in A, B, C, D, and how many letters there are with Medicare.
Well, I'm so glad you asked because it's not only is it funny that there's these letters, but to be confusing, they use the same term in multiple ways, applying to different things that are similar, believe it or not. And there's 10 Medicare supplement plans that are lettered that go through A through N. So there's Medicare supplement plans A, B, C, and D, which is confusing because Medicare has parts A, B, C, and D. So talk about confusing. Do you see why I had to help my grandmother and anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
So you have Medicare plans that are lettered, and then you have Medicare supplements that are lettered, that are the same letters as the plan, but they're supplements instead of the plan. So you could have Medicare Part A and Medicare Supplement Part A.
That's exactly right. Plan A.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's confusing. So as we talk about the parts of Medicare, we're going to talk about really the federal government. A and B, Medicare A and B is brought to you by the federal government. That's what you work for. That's what you get out of your Social Security deduction. A covers 4 different things, and they all have separate cost sharing. So we'll just kind of glaze over all that as people will fall asleep before I even get
Yeah, please
started.
do.
But the four things that Part A covers is inpatient hospitalization. I think of A as like anything inpatient, basically.
Okay.
But it's inpatient hospitalization, home health care, skilled nursing, and hospice care. So just if it sounds like kind of something that would be inpatient, just think Medicare Part A. Everything else that's medical services that are outpatient type based would be under Part B. So that's your durable medical equipment, your doctor visits, your lab work, your x-rays, your, I don't know, all that kind of stuff.
No, it's just
MRIs,
it's
CAT
visits.
scans.
So Part A is I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
And Part A, like I said, it has its own cost. That did go up a little bit, but that always goes up. So in 2022, the Part A deductible was $1,556. It went up to $1,600. And then there's a per day copay for hospitalization if you don't have other insurance. It went from $389 each day for days 61 through 90. You don't want to find out what this is about, or we'll never get onto the alphabet soup. But it goes up in 2023 to $400.
Okay.
And skilled nursing has a coinsurance of $200 as opposed to $194 last year, or this year rather, in 2022. And we already talked about Part B, but let's talk about the soup a second. So
yes.
A and B, Parts A and B are provided by the federal government. You have a red, white, and blue card. Okay, and it's what they call a fee-for-service. So it means if you just have original Medicare, you can go to a provider that accepts Medicare, and they've already agreed to get paid from Medicare, and they either accept Medicare's payment as full and final, or they have a right to charge up to 15% over the Medicare allowable. So that's how the fee-for-service works. That's your red, white, and blue Medicare. Most people don't really have that. They might have that as a primary, but they don't usually keep that if they don't have other insurance. I mean, some people do keep it because they self-insure, but very few, because it's scary because there's really no stop loss, right?
Right.
So get this, Medicare Part C is completely optional. It's not going to be listed on your red, white, and blue card if you have it. It's provided through private insurance companies. One of the changes, interestingly, these are really commonly known as Medicare Advantage. So when you see those 1-800 call Joe Namath, call
yes.
William Shatner, call this person, call that person, don't call those places, by the way. That's really kind of predatory behavior.
But what if you're a big Trekkie
fan?
fan?
Yeah, you can. I'd love to talk to William Shatner.
Yeah, if you're a big Trekkie fan, can you call William Shatner?
Can you get a direct line?
Yes, but you're going to get. Yeah, I wish. But you're going to, anytime you call the health insurance companies, sadly, the health insurance companies are included on this.
Yes.
Or these 1-800 call us, ads on TV, you're going to get hopefully licensed agents that don't really know what they're doing, that are reading a script, and they have an agenda. And the agenda is all about the bottom line and not about your interest. So
exactly.
That's one of the reasons why somebody should work with Citizens Insurance Solutions, because not only do we have, industry knowledge and accolades and everything else, but we represent every option, so we can tell you what's in your best interest. So back to Part C, the alphabet soup, right? Because we got A, B out of the way.
That's a good point, Heather.
The point you just made,
that's really good. Like, don't fall into that trap.
That's right. You can't. You just can't. And because of that, by the way, the 2023 changes are it's never supposed to be that people were supposed to call beneficiaries and bother them all the time, people on Medicare, but they
Correct.
do.
Yeah.
Anybody who's on Medicare or remotely close to 60-something, they get avalanche of mail, emails, and phone calls, and that's illegal. Do not do that. Don't ever give your information out to someone that you don't personally know and that you made the call
absolutely
yourself.
Correct.
That's with an exclamation point right there.
Yes. I'm part of the Medicare Senior Fraud Patrol, like on my part-time. So that's how, serious I am about it. But
you're an undercover agent.
I am. Well, no, nobody likes
No.
anybody that's vulnerable to get
Nope.
taken advantage of. And that's what Medicare does, is it protects our most vulnerable, whether it's people who have kidney failure, people who have been disabled for over 24 months, or people who are eligible for Medicare because they're 65 or older. So it's just a really important thing. But Medicare Part C is Medicare Advantage. It's optional. And some of the changes for 2023, interestingly enough, so Medicare Advantage is the stuff that they keep advertising on TV where you can get free this and it's zero that and get your free transportation and your catalog and your flex card and your yada, yada, yada. That's an optional type of insurance. It's a way of getting your Medicare where instead of the government being in charge and paying the bills, a private insurance company with rules to follow and about a 160-page booklet of rules is in charge of your health care. And that's not a horrible thing. It sounds a little horrible.
Right.
It really just depends on, do you understand how it works? Does the plan that you have fit you? Did you buy it from someone that you trust? I mean, if you don't understand it, you really need to stay away from it because it's got a lot of little traps, I guess you could say. But
yeah,
Right.
no, I
most people
totally
are
understand where
choosing
you're
that.
coming from on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of gray area there, and that's why they need somebody like you to guide them through this process of what's the best for me right now
Right.
in my situation.
The same rule of thumb with your auto insurance and home insurance.
Yeah.
You know, you find that local agent that you can call up and you'll run into at the soccer game and the grocery store, so they can explain things to you versus the 1-800 number that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yep. Well, with the 2023 changes in Medicare, Part C has actually become a even more popular option. So it's the most popular option that people are choosing, in part because of it. Most people have it. It sounds sexy. It's low cost on a monthly basis. It's got all the frou-frou, like sometimes, depending on the plan,
Right.
extra benefits like dental, vision, like I said, flex card, all this fun stuff. And it seems like a great value, and it can be. It really can be, as long as you understand the limitations. It's absolutely a great, wonderful thing. And so because more people are choosing it, that and the Inflation Reduction Act has led to a decrease overall on plan costs for Medicare Advantage in 2023. It's been an $18 decrease per month nationwide. And enrollment is expected to go from 27 million. There's 27 million people enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan. That's Part C. It's optional. You don't have to get your Medicare that way. It's a choice.
Is that
you
up
do
or
that.
down from last year? 27 million?
It's up, and it's projected to go to 31.2 million in 2023.
Wow.
So big jump. So let's just hope everybody's not calling JJ and all that, because
Yes.
but there's a lot of people who do, and that's just part of it, unfortunately. But
It is.
at least those options are out there. It's really good because you don't have to qualify for health, and there's low and no monthly premiums. So some people can't afford the alternative, which is a Medicare supplement, which the cost can range. It just depends from $50 a month to $300 a month, and the cost goes up every year. So, not everybody can afford that, and you have to usually pass health questions with these types of plans. So if you're just new to Medicare and you can get a Medicare supplement without any health questions, I suggest you highly consider that. Highly, highly consider that, because, I told you that Part C has limitations, whereas the Medicare supplement doesn't really have limitations. As long as Medicare pays for the service, the supplement will pay for it, and you can keep it as long as you pay for it. You can travel all over the country with it. You can move all over the country with it.
So it crosses state borders.
The only drawback really is the price goes up every year. So it's a great deal, but like I say, it's just not feasible for everyone.
Got it.
Also, I wanted to tell you a little bit about Part C. They have star rating, and I know you've got a question. I'll let you ask. But these star ratings, there's 50 indicators to help judge whether or not someone's 1 to 5 stars, the insurance company. 1's being the worst,
Okay.
5 is being the best. Well, when Medicare Advantage plans get 4 stars or more, they get more money from the government. Well, there was an increase in 2023 of, well, actually, there's a decrease. So in 2022, there was about the average star rating of Medicare Advantage plans was 4.37, and it went down to 4.1. And about 74 companies this year had 5-star contracts. And next year, it's going to 54. And what does that mean? It means, one, you can assume that if something has a 5-star, that you should use that as a tool, just one thing to consider whether or not it's a good plan for you, not the only thing.
Right.
But also, you can enroll in that plan any time of year. They get a privilege. Not only do they get the most money possible from Medicare each month, because what happens is when you're on this Plan C or a Medicare Advantage plan, they get money from the government each month for you to be enrolled in the plan. That's why these things are zero. It's because, one, they get money from Medicare to pay your doctors and hospitals, and two, they don't pay 100%. You have copays when you go to use the services. So that's why it's a zero thing, and that's the wizard behind the curtain there.
Ah, Wizard of Oz. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was involved in Medicare.
Yep, he's got his magic wand. This is why I need a creative problem solver.
Well,
Like,
Toto.
that's not just
It's
good for home
Toto.
improvement. That's
Exactly.
good for and engineering. That we need to help re-engineer some of this Medicare business.
well, if I could solve the problems in Medicare, I'd be, a national hero. But that's not for today. I got a full plate for today. But before we
That's
dive
right.
into
Well,
part
we'll
D,
wear our cape. We'll wear our cape together.
our
and,
Medicare capes.
and as we're helping people age in place, we'll
There you go.
we'll show them all our goods.
You see what
Awesome.
she did there? She
I
went
saw
to
what
the
she
age in
did.
place thing.
I
Yeah.
got it. She knows what she's doing.
She knows Master Remodelers does age in place.
But let's jump to another commercial break here so that the station can pay their bills and make their advertisers happy. And when we come back, we're going to touch on Medicare Part D. So stick around for more Medicare with Heather, Majka from Citizens Insurance Solutions. We have Heather with us from Citizens Insurance Solutions. And I think Danny had a very important question or comment for Heather.
We're going to see how big of a Syracuse fan you are.
Oh gosh,
Who they play today?
No, hey, can I just disclaim?
Nope. Who they play today?
Oh, I have no idea.
They got
Because
a bye
literally
week.
don't follow them anymore.
They got a bye
do?
week.
Okay.
So you're off the hook for
Okay,
a little
I
bit.
did. Yay! Well, hey, you know
Did
what's
you go to
weird?
the games when you were there?
Just one or two. When I went to
Ah.
college, I grew up in. Just don't laugh at me, and know that I've not lived in New York for over 3 decades, but.
All right, you
And
get a
I'm from
pass
there.
down in the
we
south.
never, we
one of them
never
Yankees.
ever followed sports, and here I was going to Syracuse, and it just never was a thing. And now,
Yeah.
of course, I love sports because I live in Tennessee, but
Yeah.
I didn't know back then.
So are you a Vols fan?
You damn right I am.
Oh,
GBO all the way.
different color orange, but
E,
you're
double
here.
E,
All right,
double S, double E. Let's go.
you passed the test.
Okay.
What time's Tennessee play today?
12-ish, 12:05.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know. 12.
All right, you're
Yeah,
in.
That's all I know.
Okay, yeah.
You're in.
We'll
I'm
let
going to
it
be
pass.
somewhere at 11:53 to eat some wings. How's that? And wait
Oh,
chicken chili.
dang.
Yes. Wings. They are delicious, aren't they? They're the perfect football food. Wings and nachos.
They are. They are. I'm going to be putting on a couple pounds. So,
that's
for
all
that
right.
reason, I need prescription drugs. No, just kidding. Medicare Part D. Actually, I actually lost 132 pounds about 4 years ago without the help of any prescription drugs. But
Wow.
it took a
Awesome.
lot besides
Awesome.
that.
How?
But
I might have found a few of those
definitely-
pounds personally.
Yeah.
You gave
Yeah,
the
I'm going to
Vince.
find some today
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure, and it won't be in a liquid form. Wink, wink. All right. So anyway, Medicare Part D covers prescription drugs, and that is also provided through a separate private insurance company. So
Well, at least
anybody
they got
who
the
has
D doing drugs. I mean, that's easy
Except-
to remember. That's one bonus
it
point
is
for them.
easy to remember. Yes, it is. But the weird thing is remember there's a Medicare Supplement Plan D. Confusing.
And
Okay.
what's the supplement D cover?
It pays certain costs that Medicare leave behind.
So
But it has nothing to do with drugs.
so
Nothing.
Part D is for drugs. Supplement D could stand for dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
That's a good idea.
All right, there we
that.
go. There we go.
They're actually not really they're as of 2020, it's no longer sold anyway. So
Okay.
people who bought a Medicare supplement plan D and they're alive and they're paying the premium, they still have it. But nobody else, anybody who turned 65 after January 1st of 2020 can't buy a D or an F. They were antiquated essentially, and actually, don't get me started on this, but a bunch of people lobbied Congress and said that because Medicare supplement plan F was first dollar coverage, meaning there was no deductible, they felt like people who had that plan were driving up Medicare costs, but that was absurd because people who have that plan were paying like $400 a month, so it was just absurd. But anyway, it's not sold anymore. So back to Part D, prescription drugs. It's brought to you by a separate private insurance company that, again, has a contract with Medicare. So anybody who has original Medicare and a Part D plan has two separate cards. They have their red, white, and blue Medicare card from the federal government, and they have one of 10 in this area. There's about 30 plans available from 10 different companies. They're going to have a card from you fill in the blank of the company, you know, United Healthcare, Humana, WellCare, Aetna, Silver Script, all of these people.
All right.
Here's a little bit about Medicare Part D in general, and then I'm going to go over the changes, okay?
Okay.
And feel free to ask any questions. Now, I will tell you this. Can anybody tell I got awarded, you believe this now, after talking with me for 30 minutes, America's biggest insurance nerd. So I think you can believe that.
Is that a trophy?
Is that an award?
Is that like a legit trophy or a plaque or?
Yes, it's a plaque. I don't even, to be honest, it's in my attic ever since I moved to Tellico from West Knoxville. I don't have it out. But
that needs to go.
If somebody ever called me on it, I'd have to dig it out of the attic.
That needs to go in your office.
I know. I probably should dig it out. As soon as you come over with a ladder, let's do it.
Ooh.
Are you? Do you know I'm short? Did you just make a short joke?
No, I'm 5 foot. I did not make a short joke. I'm just saying, as soon as you come, the
Vince is
attic is
5'1",
not easily
so
accessible.
I am 5 something.
One.
Depending on what
5'1".
gas station I walk in and out of, that dictates my height.
Hey, Vince, I'm going to tell you what. I have a fairly new construction house in Tellico Village, and I wasn't thinking when I bought the house, I was thinking, oh, this is an age-in-place house because the door frames were wider than 36 inches or something so you can fit a wheelchair. Every single door is that way except the 2 doors going to the actual toilet. So I need you for that.
Well,
we can widen that.
We can fix you right up with that.
I was there twice
And
yesterday.
I
was in Tellico Village twice yesterday. Yep.
Anytime you guys are by Food Lion, you can Google Citizens Insurance Solutions and see my home office address because even though we're nationwide and I have an office in Knoxville, I never go. I just do a lot of stuff out of my home, and a lot of my customers are here in the village, so they feel comfortable coming to my home office and all that fun stuff. You can stop by, but I also need a railing because I have people who 1 or 2 steps can really be hard. I don't care how old you are when you have some kind of impairment. I know my husband had a hip replacement, and it was funny because he thought he was agile. Of course, he's not. He's actually not very well, but he kind of was like, why does it seem hard for people to get up 1 step? Because when we bought the house, we thought, this is no big deal. Well, then his hip gave him a problem, and then he had a replacement, and he realized 1 step is a big deal. So I need a railing.
It is a big deal. It really is.
It really is. It could really make or break whether or not you're, landing on 2 feet. So
exactly.
But anyway, Medicare Part D actually was rolled out in 2006. It was passed under the Bush administration, and that alone, having that Medicare Part D benefit, even though there's so much confusion about it, because it is the most confusing part of Medicare, if you can believe that.
It's all confusing to me.
It is. Remember I told you it took me 6 months to be able to explain certain things in layman's terms? After being in insurance, industry for years, I did claims and all this stuff like analytical insurance,
Yeah, it is hard once you get the terminology and you're trying to talk that terminology to common folk, if you want to per se say that. Like, it's hard for people to understand, quite frankly, what you're talking about. Even though you have that knowledge, you're trying to tell them exactly what is the best plan for them, but they might not understand a lot of that terminology.
Yeah, and the good news is it's so good to have someone that you can trust, that like, hey, I don't remember everything that you told me last year. I don't remember every, vocabulary word. I know I can call Heather or her team at Citizens Insurance Solutions at 865-264-0370. I know I can call them, text them, message them, go to their website, watch videos, and any time of year, and they're going to help me if I have questions, concerns. Even if I'm not a customer and I get something from an insurance company that I don't understand, I can call them and they will help me.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you call America's Biggest Insurance Nerd.
Yeah. So back to me being a nerd. This to me is so fascinating.
Hashtag insurance nerd.
Oh my gosh, I need to actually make that happen. I'm making that happen.
That's your goal for today. That's your goal.
Make that happen.
You mentioned calling real quick. Let me ask you something about phone calls. These Medicare scam phone calls that people get, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, you're America's biggest insurance nerd and you'll know this. If you receive a Medicare related phone call, most of the time it's going to be a scam, because they can only call you if you are their active customer or if you have requested information from another entity. Any other entity that calls you is a scam.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And Medicare wouldn't call you. It would and there have been, this is more popular now with COVID, and there were rare occasions in the past, but Social Security has made outbound calls to people, but definitely not to get your account number and not by a robot and any of that nonsense.
Okay. All right.
But not to get information from you over the phone, anything, that would be any indicator of your personal information. Never. They might ask you questions about something you submitted, but if you didn't submit anything, they wouldn't be talking to you.
Got it. Okay.
So you're right on that. Do not talk to these people calling you that you don't know who they are and you didn't request to call. Do not do it.
It's good info.
And that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, it really is.
That calls you on the phone that you don't know, don't fall for the scams, because they spend a lot of time and money.
Never give out your personal information unless you initiated the phone call and you know exactly who you're talking to.
That's basic knowledge right now, and that's so many people are susceptible to answer the phone right now. And 9 out of 10, it's a scam. It really is.
It is. I mean, we have a friend that recently was scammed, and they gave, well, I won't disclose everything they gave out, but let's just say they gave out way too much information to somebody over the phone, and they got scared. They got nervous. This caller was, great at deception. And so, now they have Legal Shield and ID Shield, and they have had to get new bank accounts. They've had to set up basically alerts on their Social Security number. And,
there are people that are trained to do this. They're training people to scam people.
Yeah, we've spent hours helping this person straighten the mess out.
There's like a whole dark web or something.
Yeah. Oh, it's out there.
People's information. I've had people Social Security number and Medicare number compromised. I really have.
Yeah, it's.
But you know what? I know that I'm not going to be able to explain everything about Part D and all the exciting things that I was going to tell you. So ask Dawn if she'd like to have me on again, and people can find out all this information on citizensinsuranceSolutions.com or morethanmedicare.org. So just a reminder, and they can always call us, and we'll send them, the audio clip when this is done, or the PowerPoint of all the what's new in Medicare that we're doing at several different classes across East Tennessee.
Dawn grew up in Tellico Village.
Well, no, she didn't grow up in Tellico Village.
She lived there.
She
grew up there. She grew up in Michigan.
She started her business, Master Remodelers,
in
Tellico Village.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew that.
I know that. I've known Dawn. Yeah, I did. I've known her probably about 10 years. We have been in a professional networking group, and we kind of, I hate to say we lost contact some, but you know how everybody gets busy in their
Yeah.
space, and
Oh, yeah.
we would see each other at different charitable events, because I'm sure you know, and you know that you guys support a lot of local events and communities and causes and things, as do I, and Citizens Insurance. In fact, we give just about almost all our money away, which, of course, anybody who loves me doesn't love. But anyway, I love it.
There's a lot going on in
it's the only reason why I
Tellico
work.
right now. It's crazy. Like I didn't know
Yeah,
there
but-
was that many lots available. Like they're building
Oh yes, they are.
like
they
crazy.
Are. They are.
Yep.
And we've got a
They
couple
are, and it's a
projects
great
going
place
on
to
in there
live.
right now. It's exciting.
Remember, when you're at Food Lion, stop by and say hi. Google me.
And Heather, you mentioned events, which made me remember our event coming up, Remodeling University, which you may want to come to or send some of your clients there. It's October 22nd at our office, 123 Center Park Drive, from 10 to 11:30. We're going to be talking about how to plan for your remodel. And Dawn will be sharing some fun stories, scary stories, humorous stories, successes and failures from her 25 years here in Knoxville as a general contractor. Seating is limited, so you got to pre-register for this event. You can do that by calling 865-458-0416 or by visiting masterremodelers.com and just drop us an email using that contact form. But Heather, it's been awesome having you here this hour. We have learned more about Medicare than I ever knew before, and it's obvious that there's a lot more to learn in Medicare. It's a deep, deep, deep subject. But if I am correct, it looks like people can get a hold of you at your website, which is citizensinsurancesolutions.com, or by calling 865-640-1614. And again, Heather, thank you so much for joining us. You've been awesome.
Thank you, Heather.
And again, our guest
Thank you,
this
guys.
hour was Heather Majka from Citizens Insurance Solutions. Thanks for joining us here on Around the House on WOKI, and tune in next week when Dawn will be back in the seat.